Upstairs, Downstairs, Part 1, production number 1611, recorded the 14th of September, 73, take 1.
Miss Georgina?
Oh, Rose.
Good morning, Miss Georgina.
Oh, I'm so sleepy.
Your bath's ready.
Oh, it was a wonderful ball.
Their Majesties, the King and Queen, accompanied by the members of the royal family, entered the ballroom at 10 o'clock, when dancing commenced immediately. The King wore the uniform of the Colonel-in-Chief of the Scots Guards.
Ah!
Oh, give over, Edward. The Queen wore a gown of grey and silver brocade, with a corsage of silver embroidery and a crown of diamonds with the lesser stars of Africa. The court-in-law, with diamond bows arranged as a stomacher.
Oh, quite a sparkling, Bonpon?
What are you doing with them good glasses?
Haven't you heard? Mr. Lyons, our purveyor of fish and poultry, is honouring our amble servants all for lunch.
Oh, what's so special about him?
Shh! Mr. Lyons has got a soul, and his heart's in the right place, and his muscles are as hard as iron.
Edward.
And take care not to tread on his heels, 'cause they're jellied. And what's more, there's a certain lady not 1,000 miles from here he'd like to catch in his net.
When I went round to its shop last week, it pinched me bottom.
Not you, Ruby. Why would Mr. Lyons want to throw himself away on you? Mrs. Breeches, he fancies her.
Fancies Mrs. Bridges?
Yeah.
Go on.
Ruby? You done the breakfast washing up yet?
Yes, Mrs. Bridges.
Oh, well, get on with laying out the luncheon and don't talk so much.
I wondered what she'd been cooking when there's no upstairs luncheon. It's nice for us at any rate.
Not for us, Ruby, my love. We have yesterday's leftovers at 12 o'clock.
Edward, listen to this. Some of the gowns. Miss Georgina Worsley wore a gown of black tulle with a coat with grey and silver embroidery and crystal beads in a diamante design.
Isn't it lovely?
Yes, but it didn't ought to be left in an heap on the floor. On Lady Marjorie's day should have had a maid and been put to bed proper.
I would have waited up for her.
Don't talk simple. Us maids can't work all night and work all day. Miss Georgina ought to have gone all in white. Virgin white. How could she with the court in mourning? Royalty have got to stick together and pay respect just like anyone else, otherwise they'll all be murdered. Anyhow, it's only half mourning. Not like last time when the king died, then they was all in black from head to foot for months on end, even at Ascot.
Well, why was it only half mourning?
Well, he was only a Serbian Archduke, wasn't he?
Here, Rose.
You put that down.
Quadrille, Methusalem, Strauss, Waltz, the cinema star, Gilbert, Waltz, Destiny, Baines. Here, Rose, look, BL, 4 in a row. That's the Honourable Billy Linton, that is.
Come on, haven't got all day.
Bet she'll treasure that all her life. The memory will be like a beautiful dream.
There's too much dreaming going on in this house as it is. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? You want to wake up and be sensible.
Well, I can't help it if I love him, can I?
Lord helps them who helps themselves. You want to be careful, Daisy. Mr. Hudson finds out about you and Edward, he'll turn you both out on the streets.
It's not so awful, is it? We might get married.
Servants can't get married, not junior servants anyhow. You'll end up in the poorhouse, the pair of you, all like your ma and pa. I'd think they'd be example enough for you. Come on. The top ones are for Mrs. Bellamy's bedroom, and the bottom for Captain James. Separate bedrooms and them not married 2 years. There's another example for you.
Nice to be after lunch and dinner. I've told Hudson.
Yes, I know. Thank you, Hudson.
Madam.
Well, we seem to be an even bigger mess than usual.
It's a damn serious business. These things all seem to happen on Sundays.
Do you think it'll lead to war now?
It may well. It's just the sort of thing to spark it off. Well, we'll just have to wait and see.
You people in Parliament drive me mad. First of all, you turn a blind eye when the Belfast crowd land enough rifles and ammunition to arm themselves to the teeth. And then when the Dublin crowd does exactly the same thing and the British Army shoots a few of them, all you can say is we'll have to wait and see. It's incredible.
I'm not exactly in the government, James.
Yes, but you could do something about it.
What would you do?
Well, I wouldn't use the army for a start. With that lot of mealy-mouthed pacifists behind them, they might mutiny again. And I wouldn't blame them. No, I let them fight it out and good riddance. Or perhaps use the navy to blow Belfast and Dublin to smithereens. Winston Churchill can't wait to coop off his 16-inch guns and his dreadnought. And that would finish the Irish problem once and for all.
It would finish you if you were Prime Minister.
Which, thank God, I'm not. Ireland on the brink of civil war. The Empire going to the dogs. Half the country on strike. Women throwing bombs in Westminster Abbey. What a country. We really are up to the spout. Well, I must sweat off to the sweaty city. At least if I was in Bombay, I wouldn't have to wear these ridiculous clothes.
Poor old James.
Poor old James. Up the spout. Just about sums us up.
Not your fault, my dear.
As much as it is his. I haven't provided him with children, for one thing. Isn't that considered the principal duty of a wife?
You can't help that. Nobody can blame...
He should never have... I should never have married him. I'm not the right sort of person for James, Richard.
Is anybody?
Yes. One of those tough, bright, blue-blooded hunting ladies who would have provided him with a brace of tough, blue-blooded hunting children, and then amused herself with lovers. And if James had complained, she would have told him to stop whining and find himself a mistress.
Sounds an ideal marriage.
It is what happens, isn't it? From what I have observed of fashionable society, it is what happens. Very civilized.
Marriage a la mode. It didn't happen to me.
Of course not. I am glad it didn't.
I'm afraid James's malaise, whatever it is, goes deeper than that. In biblical times, that is said he was afflicted by a devil. Well, I must sweat off to sweaty Westminster. Listen to Mr. Redmond telling Mr. Carson that he's a murderer. Mr. Carson telling Mr. Redmond that he's an ignorant, papist cattle driver.
Richard, I don't know if James is serious about this directorship that Jardines have offered him in India.
Hard to tell in his present mood.
If he is, I'm not going with him.
No, I don't see you as a memsahib.
Even if he doesn't go, I shan't stay with him. I wouldn't still be here if it wasn't for you. And Georgina. It's getting worse all the time. We are driving each other nearly mad just by existing.
Well, could I...
No. Thank you.
What shall you do? Not back to your parents.
Out of the frying pan, no. I shall do whatever James wants. Divorce, desertion, separation. Perhaps I could find a refuge with my typewriting machine somewhere.
I just wish...
What?
Nothing. Oh, dear.
Yes. Oh, dear.
Have another helping, Mr. Lawrence.
Well, I don't mind if I do.
Mr. Hudson never touches a eel.
No.
So I made him a special veal and ham.
Well, if I may be permitted to observation, there's not a cook in the kingdom can make an eel pie like yours.
Oh.
No. Not even Mrs. Lewis or Monsieur Escoffier. Both of whom I have the honour to supply with fish and
Oh,
game.
now, Mr. Lyons, you're just saying that. I believe you say the same thing to every cook in Belgravia. But if I might be permitted an observation, it's the eels what makes the pie. And there's no one in London can touch you for eels.
Well,
Mr.
I have to
Lyons.
admit, when it comes to eels and handsome women, I'm a bit of a connoisseur.
Dutch eels.
Dutch eels and English women. Now, there my old father wouldn't have agreed. Now, he used to say that for firm flesh there was nothing like a Thames eel. Mm. And that's what I say about English women.
Oh! Oh, you are a wag, Mr. Lyons. Ruby, you should keep away from that hatch. Get on with the washing up. Edward, put in
this picked-out individual with these 2 eyes. I get a little lad to row me out to the Dutch eel boat sat out there in the pool of London, full of tanks it is, and every tank full of eels. And here's a fact of history for you. There's only one boat allowed at a time, and there's always another waiting to take its place up the estuary. And that's been the case for 150 years or more, ever since the Dutch sailed up the Thames and burned our English fleet.
Well, I never did.
I'm quite right, too. The fewer foreigners we have in this town, the better.
Oh, there's enough troublemakers around without adding to them. Have you read the Times newspaper today, Mr. Hudson?
I have perused it briefly, yes.
Well, then. You just read that. Oh, there.
Thank you, Edward. To the editor of the Times from the Secretary of the Secret Commissions and Bribery Prevention League Incorporated, 3 Oxford Court, Cannon Street. Dear Sir, bribery and corruption among servants and tradespeople are rampant in London, especially in the great houses of Belgravia and Mayfair.
God bless my soul. I never heard nothing like that in all my born days. What cheek?
A gift to a servant as an inducement to show favour to a tradesman dealing with a master and made without that master's consent is corruptly given.
That's slander. That's blackmail and slander.
Oh, some crank, I suppose, jealous of our privileged position.
Oh, I don't know so much. It's making out that tokens such as friends like Mr. Lyons presents us with from time to time is bribes. I tell you, whoever wrote that ought to go to
Christmas time, you could stock a party.
That's right. Lyons being appointed to the Majesty the King and Queen. Well, it's treason. It's an insult to the royal coat of arms.
I'm surprised at the time printing such blethers.
Well, it shows what evil-minded people there is in this world.
They put it in the Times so that them upstairs will read it and we'll get into trouble. That's what they done it for.
Now, don't upset yourself unduly, Mrs. Bridges. How about a wee drop of port for you, Mr. Lyons, eh?
Well, now, that'd be very nice, I must say. I hope that won't be construed as bribery and corruption.
I should hope not,
This way,
indeed.
please.
Lunatic. Right.
Just getting coffee for me, Mrs. Bridges.
Yes, I'm sure you are, Edward. This is not touched yet, Ruby.
Just tidying up your table first, Mrs. Bridges.
You ought to be careful, my girl. One of these days, them ears of yours will drop off.
A woman has some spirit, you are, Mrs. Bridges.
Oh, yes, indeed, Mr. Lyons. A fine person.
Mr. Bridges was a very lucky man. I take it he has, passed over.
To my certain knowledge, Mr. Lyons, there has been no Mr. Bridges. The title Mrs. being the usual honorarium enjoyed by cooks of a certain class. Cigar?
Well, no doubt some lucky man has already found favour in her eyes.
Put it down there, Edward. Thank you. That is a delicate question, Mr. Lyons, which only the lady in question can answer. Well, Carpentier gave the American a good beating the other evening.
I was right. Mr. Lyons has baited his hook and he's gone fishing. And it's not for no tiddler either.
You mix the honey and the soft soap and the gin in equal proportions with the water.
Give us a sip, Rose.
Oh, get off, Edward.
Oh, she's trying to soft soap me.
Then you scrub the ribbon firmly with the mixture. Thus. Then you rinse the ribbon in cold water. Daisy! Ow! Are you listening to me? Yes, Rose.
Rosa, I'm just slipping out for a minute. I'll be back after tea.
Right you are, Mrs. B.
Then you fold the ribbon in a cloth and iron it with a very hot iron swiftly so that it won't scorch.
Blimey, if that tip doesn't do the trick, nothing will.
Edward!
Will you clean my ribbons for me when we're married, eh?
Will you put that go down, Edward? Now, let me see you do it.
Here's all. I'm afraid I've had to telephone Molly Chichester and say I won't be able to come down with you and James for goodbye.
Oh, no. Well, I'm rather dreading it. And you were my only hope.
Oh, nonsense. Goodwood's great fun, not a bit stuffy like Ascot.
I bought a new hat, especially to dazzle you with.
Well, you'll just have to dazzle everyone else. Law wants me to stay with him at Wargrave, to be closer to London.
The King and Queen aren't going to Goodwood either, are they?
No, things are getting rather tricky.
And they've moved the fleet to Scapa Flow after the review. Oh, really, these wretched Irish.
It's not altogether the Irish this time. There's a flap on about this Balkan business.
That's nothing to do with us. Is it?
Well, not yet it isn't. But Austria's ultimatum to Serbia expired yesterday, and she declared war today. And Russia is Serbia's ally and hates Austria. And if Russia comes in, Germany is bound to help Austria. And France has an alliance with Russia, and we have an entente with France.
It sounds a terrible tangle.
That's exactly what it is. Except the only way to untangle it is not with gunpowder.
Well, what's the difference between an alliance and an entente?
Well, one is written down, and the other is a sort of gentleman's agreement.
Do we always have to behave like gentlemen?
It might be difficult to avoid it this time. We've suggested a peace conference, but Berlin won't have it. I don't trust that damn Kaiser. The tricky devil.
It's all happened so suddenly. I really don't believe it.
Well, all I can tell you is that Margot Asquith was sitting up in the gallery with those high Tory ladies from Ulster, whom she has not spoken a word to in months, telling them that we were on the verge of a European war.
She exaggerates everything.
She is the Prime Minister's wife, and Edward Grey had lunch with them today at number 10.
Shall I have these taken up to your room, Miss
Oh,
Georgina?
no, thank you, Hudson. Just leave them there.
Georgina?
Cup of tea.
Oh, lovely. I'm dying of thirst. Uncle Richard.
Yes.
The Lintons have asked me to stay over the bank holiday. Please, may I go?
I thought that after the Salisbury's ball, you were coming back here for a proper
Oh,
rest.
but Hazel, that's changed now.
You're getting very tired.
I'm not. I'm absolutely boiling with energy. Anyway, Lady L's the beadiest chaperone there is. They've got a maid for me and everything. Oh, it'll be a tremendous rest, really. Please say yes, Uncle Richard.
I don't seem to have much alternative, do I, Hazel?
I think it sounds like an ultimatum.
You're a darling. I don't think there can be a nicer uncle in the whole world. It's going to be such fun. There are tons and tons of dances, and we're going to play charades at the trees. Oh, and the Fox Breedens are having a masked ball. I've bought the most spendido mask. I must show you.
Sounds like a tremendous rest.
Guess what?
Judy.
Yes, because Billy Linton is going as Punch.
There won't be anyone here at the weekend.
Oh, that's nice for the servants. Well, they can all go on holiday too.
Yes, they could. Well, that would be all right, wouldn't it, Richard?
Well, Marjorie used to. Well, they can certainly have the day off. The police at Gerald Row are very good at keeping an eye on the house.
14 and 7.3 farthings in a fines box, Mr. Edson.
Thank you, Rose. A handsome sum. Mostly the result of Edward's unfortunate lapses into blasphemy. Now his misdemeanours will be of benefit to all, which is as it should be. I suggest that, as usual, the money should pay for the purchase of refreshments and the outing. Mrs. Bellamy having generously agreed to pay the fares and the railway train and a little extra. Right then. Rose, you be treasurer, as always, if you please.
And where are we going to, Miss Stratson?
Ah, that is for us all to decide, Mrs. Bridges.
Well, we went to Clacton last time, remember? Remember they had a nice band?
Oh, yes, remember that salubrious East Windrose? Fair caught you anyway.
Edward, that's enough. Now then, any suggestions from the junior members of the staff?
Bill Clinton's lovely.
We haven't got a week off.
Well, my mum once took us all to Herne Bay. It was ever so nice, and we went from Charing Cross on an excursion.
Herne Bay. Oh, in Kent.
That's right. It was ever so nice. They had a pier.
Well, that's a funny thing. Albert's going... Mr. Lyons is going to Herne Bay. It's a club outing or something.
Well, if it's good enough for Mr. Lyon's club outing, I believe it will be good enough for us. Let's have a wee show of hands on it. Who's for Herne Bay? Well, that's decided then. Herne Bay it is.
Oh, we still say Clacton.
Well, why don't you go there then and be the lonely rose of Clacton?
Come in.
Might I have a word with you, Miss Stratson?
By all means, Mrs. Bridges. Come away, Ben. Now, sit you down. How about a wee dram, eh?
Well, I won't say no.
In anticipation of our holiday, so to speak. Here we are, then. There we are.
Thank you.
Your very good health, Mrs. Bridges.
And yours, Miss Stratson. Miss Stratson, I've been seeing Mr. Lyons. There are indications that he's serious. Well, straws in the wind, you might say.
I see. Such as?
Well, I've been to tea there twice now, and the last time his only living relative, his sister, come up from Wanstead special.
One swallow doesn't make a summer, Your Honour.
Well, then there's his manner, his general behaviour, you might say. I've been very perturbed.
I would have thought it was more a time for rejoicing.
On account of you, Angus. I mean, when I had my bad trouble, and he was so very kind and so very, very gallant. We did sort of promise each other that we would reserve ourselves for each other until such time as we should retire from service.
Reservations can always be cancelled, Kate. Don't worry your head about that. I cannot deny that I shall miss you very much. We shall all miss you. But nothing must be allowed to stand in the way of your future happiness and security.
Thank you for those words. You're a good and generous man.
Well, now we really have got something to celebrate, eh?
Oh. I feel like a rat deserting the sinking ship.
I don't fully take the point of your metaphor.
This household, well, I mean, it's not actually sinking, but it's very rocky. All them aggravations and scratchings up there, and then all them Indian catalogues and that.
Well, I think the state of affairs upstairs, however difficult it may appear to us, should in no way influence your decision.
You think I ought to tell them?
No. Oh, no, not yet. While in no way implying that I doubt Mr. Lyon's good intention, I should nevertheless...
Bye, darling.
Take care of yourself.
I will. Don't worry about us. Look after yourself. Keep an eye on Father. Make sure he doesn't work too hard.
Good luck, sir.
And don't let Hudson sneak off and join up. You will, you know, if you don't watch him.
Don't you dare, Hudson. No, sir. You can't go now.
No, I can't, can I?
I don't think that any of us could have managed without you anyway.
Rose, you didn't ought to have said such things, really you didn't. Not without asking me.
After what happened yesterday?
Oh, well, of course you was right, of course you was. And it's good riddance, and that's a fact. Now we've got more important things to think about. Can you manage that?
I expect so.
That's right. Now, let me see.
What's on it? What is all this, Mrs. Bridges?
Just a few provisions, Miss Strudson. Perhaps you haven't read the papers, where there's going to be privations and shortages and prices going up.
But this is hoarding, Mrs. Bridges.
I don't care what it is. Rose, see that gammon's probably hung up on the hook. If that there Kaiser's coming over here, bombarding and besieging us like they says he is, I'm not letting this household go short.
Well, they're going to get their war, poor wretches.
Is it going to be very bad?
Very bad for very long. Yes, that's what I think. And so does Kitchener.
It's extraordinary. I feel a tremendous sense of relief. As if a spring had been released somewhere inside me.
James is not the only one who needed a war to cast out his devil. Thousands and thousands of people all over Europe are marching up and down, happy and joyful, screaming their heads off for it. All praying to the same God for victory. Poor God. He's got a hard time ahead.
Perhaps it was his idea. Well, at least we can say we're going in to help our friends.
Poor little Belgium. Oh, yes, we can beat our breasts with a clear conscience. But there's a good practical reason as well. Antwerp is still a pistol pointed at England's head.
It's 5 minutes to 11, sir.
Oh, thank you, Hudson.
Shall I open the bottle, sir?
No, thank you. But do have a drink downstairs if you feel like celebrating.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Last night, Edward Grey looked out across the park and said, "The lamps are going out all over Europe. We shall not see them lit again in our lifetime." I'm too old for war, Hazel. This means the end of that pleasant order of things that I've known and lived and loved. The end forever.
I do see.
Hello, Billy. Hello, sir.
The whole of London has gone mad. We've been to the most gorgeous war party at the Ritz. Everyone was there. And Billy met a nice colonel who promised to help him get a commission in the Grenadiers. And I've come to a great decision, Uncle Richard. I'm going to be a nurse so that I can be with the army.
Champagne, please, Billy. Yes, sir. I hate to dampen your ardor, but I hope that neither of you has anything to do with this war. You're both far too young. I refuse to drink a toast to war. From battle and murder and from sudden death. Good Lord, deliver us.
Oh, thank you, George.
Mr. Hudson, you should have seen the crowds outside Buckingham Palace. They're all singing and shouting at the top of their voices.
All help yourselves to some beer.
Oh, thanks, Mr. Hudson.
We saw the King and the Queen and the Prince of Wales come out on balcony.
Yeah, and we saw Mr. Churchill, Mr. Asquith, and Lloyd George, all as clear as anything. And then there's a bloke that climbed up on the balcony when they came out. Do you remember?
Why, Edward?
This-